There are nearly 100,000 public schools in the U.S., but President Obama praised just one of them in his 2011 State of the Union address.
Take a school like Bruce Randolph in Denver. 3 years ago, it was rated one of the worst schools in Colorado, located on turf between two rival gangs. But last May, 97% of the seniors received their diploma. Most will be the first in their families to go to college.
The president drew attention to the fact that according to the Colorado Department of Education, the rate of achievement growth among middle and high school students at Bruce Randolph has consistently outpaced most other students statewide. That's what good schools do, the president said. In Growth Models and Accountability, a recipe for remaking ESEA, Education Sector's Policy Director Kevin Carey looks at Bruce Randolph as an example of the challenges of incorporating information about student growth into educational accountability.
Educational accountability isn't just a matter of identifying the schools that have the most failing students. You actually have to take that information and do something with it to make schools better. And so that means that measuring student growth is really a delicate balancing act for policymakers. On the one hand, they have to be fair and constructive with educators who are often working in very difficult conditions. On the other hand, they have to hold fast to the fact that there are certain bottom line levels of achievement that students need to achieve if they're going to succeed in the world of work and citizenship. Under No Child Left Behind, schools were held almost exclusively accountable for absolute levels of student performance. But that meant that even schools that were making great strides with students were still labeled as failing, just because the students had not yet made it all the way to a proficient level of achievement.
In an effort to address this issue, the Department of Education allowed states to experiment with various ways of incorporating measures of student growth into their AYP calculations. However, in most states, these growth models did not have much impact on the number of schools making AYP. Colorado adopted a different model. There, officials created a state-specific accountability system that puts a premium on helping the public understand meaningful distinctions between different kinds of schools. As Carey explained,
this chart shows performance results for the 182 public elementary, middle, and high schools in Denver. Each circle is a school, and the circles are proportional. Larger circles represent bigger schools. This dot represents Greenlee Elementary School, where just 35% of students scored proficient in math, well below the state threshold of 70%. Even worse, only 18% of students had a growth rate higher than similar students. This dot represents Garden Place Elementary School. Although the number of students scoring as proficient in math is virtually identical to Greenlee, many more students, 78%, displayed growth that is higher than typical for similar students. This is the dot that represents Bruce Randolph School. As the chart shows, its students demonstrate unusually good growth, but it will not put those students on a path to reach proficiency. Under a reauthorized ESEA, schools like Greenlee, with low scores and low growth, will be prime candidates for aggressive turnaround interventions. But what about schools like Bruce Randolph?
In the report, co-authors Kevin Carey and Robert Manwaring outlined several policy considerations, from better testing to tougher standards to expanding the measures used to assess proficiency and growth.
When Congress reauthorizes ESEA, it should require all states to incorporate growth measures into their educational accountability systems. But at the same time, it shouldn't be too prescriptive about how it requires states to do that. It should allow state policymakers and local school districts to exercise judgment in interpreting growth information. Schools that achieve great growth with low-income and disadvantaged students are hard to find. It is very important that we identify them accurately and that we encourage more schools to learn from their lessons.
The full report is available at the Education Sector website.